I'm Sheila Anderson, and I'm host of Weekend Jazz After Hours, Salon Sessions, and the Sunday Night Music Mix on WBGO 88.3 FM, WBGO.org, and on your mobile devices. I am in I am in the Yamaha studios in New York City. And the reason why I'm here is because we are celebrating the release of Ethan Iverson's new debut Blue Note recording. And he is here with his trio. Actually, on bass is Larry Grenadier, and he's on the CD. And we're going to hear Nasheet Waits as well. So I want to thank you for tuning in. This is day 2 of our winter membership drive, and we're calling it We're in This Together. So together, you and I are going to ensure that WBGO continues to thrive and bring you this great music and have features like this here at the Yamaha Studios in New York City. And also, Ethan's CD is available during this drive. That is for a pledge of $8.33 a month as a sustaining member, or one lump sum of $100. You can have the CD. So thank you for tuning in. You can make a pledge right now. You can call 1-800-499-9246, or you can click on the contribute button if you're already online at WBGO.org. And thank you. So you can have a copy of Ethan Iverson's recording for $8.33 a month as a sustainer or a lump sum of $100. All you have to do is make a call. Call 1-800-499-9246, or you can pledge online. If you're already online at our website, just click on the contribute button. But please make a pledge today. Thank you. Hello, Ethan Iverson. It's so great to meet you face to face. Been listening to you for forever, so now I get to hear you. I would like to first congratulate you on your debut release, and it's entitled "Every Note Is True." It's your debut on Blue Note, and it was released on your birthday,
Yes.
February 11th.
Somehow I made it a birthday present for myself. Yes.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. Yeah, I try to do everything on mine June 12th, so just FYI.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind, Sheila. Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Thank you very much. Actually, I share a birthday with Chick Corea and God rest his soul, and Jerry Allen, God rest her soul.
Wow.
So some great pianists on my birthday. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And let's talk about your recording. I want to ask you the opening song you co-wrote with your wife that features 44 virtual voices that include, now I read that they came from your contact list and included Isaac Mizrahi and also Aaron Deal. I was like, wow, that's a heck of a contact. Anyway, what was your thinking about having the virtual choir?
Well, you got to work with what's happening.
Yes.
And we were in those first time of lockdown. We didn't see anybody, but I did keep connected through people through texting and so forth. And I thought, well, why don't I just invite the people I'm sort of in regular rotation with to sing the song, and people just sang it into their phones and texted me the file, and then we put it together in the studio. And you can't really hear any one voice, but there are some notable voices in there. You mentioned too Isaac Mizrahi. I mean, hey Isaac, if you're watching, but he's a wonderful fashion designer, but I know him through the world of Mark Morris and that great choreographer who I still work with. They're very close friends. Mark also sings. But then, the wonderful British tenor singer Mark Padmore is in there. And I was very tempted to turn him way up in the mix, but I thought that's a little unfair to him, really. So it's my voice loudest, and then everybody else is just buried in there, But I like the way it sounds. It came out well.
Oh, I do too. And like I said to you earlier that, and it's true. I listened to your CD on a loop for a couple hours, and there is not one bad song at all.
Wow, that's so
not
nice.
Not one.
Of you. Okay,
and
great.
If there was, I would tell you. Anyway, but no, there's and I like the fact that you also have a song that Jack DeJohnette wrote called "Blue." He's on your recording. Can you talk about? Did you start working on the music after the pandemic, or had you started working on it before you left the Bad Plus? And that was in 2017.
Yeah, I guess it's about 5 years since I left the Bad Plus. Wow. And not long after I'd left, I started writing a lot more music. Both Reed Anderson and Dave King are great composers, and they did a lot of the writing for that band. And I just focused on other things. And then when I left, I was like, well, I guess it's time I better start writing my own book. And I mean, barely a week has gone by since where I didn't write something down. And actually, I've done quite a few larger scale projects too, involving arranging or composition. So when it came time to work on a studio project with Larry Grenadier and Jack DeJohnette, I thought, let me just pick the best tunes that I've been working on and take it from there. So
well, I love how personal they are. One you wrote as a result from your mother-in-law, and another one was one of the writers that right. You mystery writers, since you are into mysteries.
Right. Wow.
Can you just talk about how that the influence, especially of the murder mysteries, the literature that you love, and also talk a little bit before we hear some more music about your blog and your writing. I mean, you've quite made quite a name for yourself from the blog over these years, since 2000 or something.
Well, I guess it goes back to 2003 when the Bad Plus had a surprise breakout. The most surprised person was me. I always thought I would be the most obscure piano player in the world. And then all of a sudden, there I was at Tower Records with a picture of my album in the light box outside and on the cover of albums. And I kept on thinking, this is the silliest thing I've ever imagined. But it felt like we had a platform and the internet had sort of just gotten going. And frankly, Sheila, I wanted to make sure if we were making new fans that they also knew who we loved, that we didn't come from nowhere. I wanted a name like Thelonious Monk to be in, if you Googled me or Googled us, that those kinds of names, Duke Ellington, Thelonious Monk, Andrew Hill, the people that we love, would be easier to find, to share our love of pure jazz. Because I think we're also written up at that time as almost anti-jazz. And that is not whatever, I certainly never meant that, Yeah. So the writing was a very natural way for me to try to balance something about just the karma, frankly. Simply karma.
Right.
And then as it kept going, it was very easy for me to write. And I kept on doing it, and it got easier and easier. And I did a lot of interviews. And when I did the interviews, I was studying myself, You mentioned Jerry Allen. We spoke. We were supposed to talk. She said, she was so nice, and she thanked me. I don't know what she thanked me for, but I said, well, look, will you do an interview? And she said yes, but then a few months went by, and then she was gone.
Yeah, sad. That was very sad. Well, speaking of Andrew Hill, the gentleman on drums worked with Andrew Hill and his groups, Nasheet Waits, and Larry Grenadier is on bass, and he is on your new recording, and we're going to hear some more music from you. Again, thank you for coming here this night and performing. So we are going to hear more music from Ethan Iverson, and we'll chat some more later. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks again, Sheila, for the warmth of your personality there. That was fun to chat and finally meet after all these years. I should say that we began our set with a song on the album called She Won't Forget Me, which is a TV theme. They haven't made the TV show yet, but I'm confident now that I'm signed to Blue Note Records that they're going to find me in no time at all out there, those showrunners, HBO Max. Here I am. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. We're going to continue with a few more pieces from the record. As Sheila alluded to, I'm a big mystery fan. I probably got hooked on that by a book I read when I was just a youngster called The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. But everything she wrote was great, and she was also a celebrated illustrator, and she was also from Wisconsin, like me. So between all these things, I thought I should say this is for Ellen Raskin.
Hello, I hope you're enjoying this great music from this wonderful trio. Ethan Iverson is on piano, leading the trio as we are celebrating day 2 of our Winter Fun Drive, which is We're in This Together, which means we're asking you to pledge your support to WBGO so that because it's you and I, we're together to keep this music, to keep this radio station afloat, and to continue to bring such great programs as we have here at the Yamaha Studios in New York City. The number is 800-499-9246. If you're already online, if you're not online, you can go to WBGO.org and click the contribute button. But please make a pledge now because, yes, we are in this together. Thank you.
it's a real pleasure to play with these phenomenal musicians. That's Nasheet Waits on drums and Larry Grenadier on bass. I first heard Larry probably 1993, somewhere in there, playing with Joe Henderson at a long-defunct club called Fat Tuesdays. Al Foster was on drums, and Larry Willis was on piano, and it was a great set. I remember just being blown away by Larry Grenadier that night, and it's I've known Larry over the years. He's always been super nice to me, and I can't believe he's playing with me here. It's so cool. Nasheet, I've known not quite as long, but I remember the first time I saw the Bandwagon with Jason Moran and Taurus Matina. I was at the old office at the Knitting Factory, another club that isn't there anymore. And Jason was playing Rhodes, I think, and they played Lee Morgan's The Sidewinder, and it was definitely one of the best things I've ever heard. And Nasheet's been one of my favorites ever since. And they don't actually play together that much, but maybe we can change it here at WBGO tonight. Maybe they can start becoming a classic rhythm section the way they really should be. Speaking of the Bandwagon, I owe Jason a little bit on this next one. It's called Goodness Knows. I was inspired after hearing him doing some of his Fats Waller material. I saw it during the pandemic streaming from the Vanguard, and I thought I better do a little variation of that on my own. Anyway, this is Goodness Knows. Thank you. Thank you for listening. That was Goodness Knows. And I thought since this was for WBGO, the greatest jazz radio station, that we should play a actual jazz classic. This is by Thelonious Monk, and it's Round Midnight.
I hope you're enjoying this music this evening, Ethan Iverson Trio. And as Al Jarreau sang, we're in this love together. Well, this is our WBGO's Winter Fund Drive, and we are in this together. We're in this together, you and I, which means we're asking you and depending on you to make a pledge of support to WBGO. Perhaps you're new and you haven't pledged before. Today is New Member Day because it always took one time. You had to start somewhere, as they say. The way to make a pledge support to WBGO is to call 1-800-499-9246. Pledge online at WBGO.org. And if you're already online listening, you can click on the contribute button. We'd like to hear from you. Please, we're in this together and we mean it. 1-800-499-9246 at WBGO.org. And thank you. Wow, I hope you enjoyed this. This is an incredible set with Ethan Iverson on piano and again on bass. His name is Larry Grenadier and Nasheet Waits. I've known like forever. When he was a kid, he's on drums. Actually, it feels like it. I've known you like forever. Anyway, and I'm Sheila Anderson from WBGO and hope you're enjoying this session here from Yamaha Studios in New York City. And a few more questions. Ethan, hearing you play around midnight, and I remember that I think it's one of the most recorded songs in modern times. I think T.S. told me that, something like that. But what is it about that song that is so attractive to musicians? I mean, as a listener, I love the song, but what is it about that song?
Well, I think great composers paint a picture, and the hit songs paint the most vivid pictures. So there's something about that song. I know what you mean. I mean, I've heard it my whole life. Yeah. I've heard a few hundred of those many thousands of versions, but it always satisfies, But then I think the reason for Larry and Nasheet and I to play it is also to play it with our own personality. And that's one of the miracles of jazz, is it's a living repertoire. And if you have an opinion about the classics, you are free to voice it.
I like that. Well, speaking of classics, I understand that when you thought of putting this group together, that you had in mind that classic trio of Duke Ellington and Charles Mingus and Max Roach. Is that true? And if so, what is it about that?
Yes,
that trio.
Right. Well, this poll quote has made it into the press kit, and I never meant to compare myself to Duke Ellington.
No. I'm not saying I didn't take it that way. Actually, I just the musically the concept.
Well, what I meant by that is that I think Money Jungle is sketches. The compositions, I'm not saying they aren't fabulous compositions, but at the same time, there was not a whole lot of paper in the studio, and everybody played sort of full out because of the freedom of the session. And the music I brought for Larry and Jack to play was, I would say, on the simple side. And I wanted to hear them play. And in that sense, I think it worked. I believe on my record you can hear some great Larry Grenadier and some great Jack DeJohnette and something meeting in the middle between the three energies. Yes.
So speaking of, I understand that you you were going back to your roots, as it were, by writing music that had more jazz, pop, etc. And I didn't really remember until I read it, about Jack DeJohnette and his rock roots, and just had you known that?
Well, yeah, he sort of invented a certain way of drumming that everyone has played in both jazz and rock ever since Bitches Brew and those records came out.
Yeah.
But he also, I think, is someone who loves. He'll say in an interview he loves Levon Helm. The guy on the Bob Dylan records and was in the band.
Yep.
And
who I actually saw perform.
Oh, right.
I was 12, but I saw the band.
So there's some of that. That's a little bit maybe. I mean, that won't mean to be too extreme about it. Some of that's my bad plus heritage that I let out with Jack. I thought, because I played with some people, the greatest ever, Tootie Heath, Billy Hart. I played with Paul Motion a little bit. I'm lucky to play with some other people, but I thought, well, with Jack, maybe I can even play a couple of those kinds of tunes, because that is part of his folklore, shall we say. So, it seemed to work out.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Billy Hart said about you, he said that Ethan's positive vision that he brings to everything, he has a way to make these visions materialize, and he has an instinct that is extremely unique, even in my band, that's Billy Hart's band, and he pulls things into motion, and he's a ranger of the highest order and an innovator who is on a quest. Do you agree with that? It's a mouthful, but...
Well, I'm very lucky to have Billy Hart as a mentor, and he's a true master. And the older I get, the more I actually feel masters are underrated.
Yeah.
A true master, if you're lucky to be next to one, that's the universe right there.
Yeah.
I'm now involved with jazz education quite a bit, not just writing, but teaching. And I sort of feel like everybody, including most of the teachers, need to hang out with some masters.
Yeah.
Jabali, Billy Hart is one. And I'm anything positive he wants to say about me, I'll take it with take it gladly, but also I'll take it with a grain of salt because he's a very nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
But he says that I'm on a quest. That part seems to be true. I do seem to be on a journey. Yes.
Well, we're going to close on. My last question is about the Praise Will Travel song. It's said, I believe in generating karma through celebration. You had mentioned karma in the last break. What do you mean exactly by karma and celebration?
Well, have you turned on the news lately?
Well, unfortunately, too much. I have to stop myself.
We live in this 24-hour news cycle where we're being told that everything's terrible all the time.
Yeah,
that's what I feel, and I would rather, in whatever little corner of the world I have, I would rather be positive. Okay. And that also connects to the writing, shall we say, the advocacy I do for music. I'm no saint, but I believe in trying to be positive. And that's one of the pieces on the record, Praise Will Travel. I think we'll actually won't play that one. We'll play the tune that concludes the album, which will tie into your previous comment you made, Sheila, about mysteries again. This is actually a title of an old Agatha Christie story.
Of course.
We all love Agatha Christie. I have to say this is not related to the story at all. It doesn't have anything to do with the music. I just thought it sounded like a good title, and it is At the Bells and Motley.
I love that. Well, on that note, so to speak, thank you, Ethan Iverson, for coming here and bringing these great musicians with you and bringing the great vibes and music. Hope you enjoyed listening. And again, support WBGO, 1-800-499-9246. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sheila. I'll just reiterate some thanks here. Yes, thanks to WBGO. Support WBGO, the best jazz radio station in the world. Also, thanks to Yamaha and Yamaha Artist Services. This is a great piano. They do really great work with their pianists, and they really support jazz, too. Not all the piano companies understand jazz as well as Yamaha does. So thank you very much. Also, that's the great Nasheet Waits on drums, Larry Grenadier on bass, and this is At the Bells and Motley.
I hope you enjoyed this trio of Ethan Iverson with Nasheet Waits and Larry Grenadier. It's been an incredible evening celebrating the release of his debut Blue Note recording entitled Every Note is True. Every song is great, every note is true, and I've had a great time listening to them, and I hope you did too. Again, I have some people to thank, and first of all, Yamaha Studios in New York City for hosting this concert here tonight. And also, I'd like to thank some people from Yamaha, Bonnie Barrett, Makia, Aaron Ross, and our videographer is Rob Davidson. And from WBGO, I want to thank Rosalind Turner, who is our membership director as we are in the second day of our membership campaign, and also John Newcott for his hard work in putting all these concerts together. And a special thanks to our president and CEO, Steve Williams, as well as our chief content officer, Stephen Smith. Again, make a pledge of support to WBGO to keep these concerts coming. And the number is 800-499-9246 or online at WBGO.org. And have a great night. Thank you.